Hi, my name's Rich, and today we're going to be covering the Witherbloom subclass for the Strixhaven College Dungeons & Dragons book that's coming out later in the year. Now, this has been released on the Unearthed Arcana, and there are 5 subclasses in total. Witherbloom is going to be the first one I'm covering, and before we get started, I'd love it if you send me a subscription, because less than 10% of people that watch these videos are subscribed at the moment. So if you can help out the channel, click the subscribe button. And if you're interested in other subclasses, if you head over to my Patreon, there's a free subclass to download called the Mentor Fighter. I've homebrewed it myself and I think it's quite cool. It's great for veterans and new players alike because as a fighter you're normally in the front line, but this one focuses on helping out your teammates, and it doesn't have any healing, but it does have abilities that can help support the rest of your team. With the plugs out of the way, let's jump right into the video. So, let's get started with the background for the Witherbloom College. Witherbloom is a college of essence studies at Strixhaven University, and it has lots of pests as mascots. The founder of the college is the elder dragon Belladus Witherbloom. And pests are these little strange salamander-like creatures. They're seen as annoyances and spiky little salamander creatures to most other colleges, but for Witherbloom, they use them for their life essence. In Magic the Gathering, the main mechanics are life gain and causing death through life gain. And essentially they're using these little pests and withdrawing the life essence from them and recycling them into powerful spells. So how does this work in the D&D subclass setting? Well, a lot of the abilities have the duality of causing lots of necrotic damage and healing lots of life. And it's a strange one because for the first time ever, you can have the same subclass for different classes. For example, with Witherbloom, you can be a warlock or you can be a druid, and you can both have access to the Witherbloom subclass. It's worth noting that if you choose a warlock, a lot of these abilities are tied to a long rest, so it might not be the most effective. It might be more suited towards a druid, but don't rule a warlock out because there are demons and vampires in the Witherbloom College, so you could tie it in thematically to worshipping one of these demons or foul entities. Witherbloom is the natural science college of Strixhaven. Their magic centers on life gain. They draw their power from essence of living beings, whether that means enhancing nature or exploiting it. Witherbloom mages are mostly at home riding zombie crocs, picking herbs for potions, and hanging out in the swamp making grim jokes. The colour dichotomy for the Witherbloom is black and green. In Magic the Gathering, black is generally reserved for damaging, destroying creature spells and taking people's life. And the green is all about creating creatures, tokens, and gaining life. So it's a yin and yang sort of contradiction. And this works quite well with the subclass. Some of the locations for the College of Witherbloom is the Bayou area that encompasses the Witherbloom campus. Sedgemoor is known for its range of strange swamp beasts, undead animals, bats, crocodilian monsters, decomposing by-outsiders called trudges, and marsh-dwelling canine beasts called bogoroths. Sedgemoor is an excellent place to find pests, herbs, spider silk fungi, and other potential ingredients for potions and spells. In saying this, I think mechanics-wise this does step a little bit on the Alchemist Artificer subclass, and it's shying away from the Spore Druid. You would think there would be some cross-pollination there, but mechanically they're completely different subclasses. The centre of the Witherbloom campus is Widdershins Hall. Widdershins Hall? A kind of bog mansion that looks like it was growing out of Sedgemoor itself. It's an interconnecting network of wooden pods with planked walkways leading out of it like tentacles and some kind of swamp creature. Its hall has a cosy inner chamber where professors bring together student witches for classwork. Speaking of the professors, we have 2 of the deans coming up. The 2 deans are Valentin, Dean of the Vein. He's a 1/1 thin, decrepit vampire creature And the other side of the card is Lizette, Dean of the Root, who's a human warlock and focuses on growing things and creating creatures out of nothing, specifically pests. Now, these two deans contradict each other with the life and death, but I think this works well for the theming of this subclass. Other notable people and personalities from Witherbloom include Liliana Vess, who's an ancient figure in Magic the Gathering. She's been in many games before. It's a black colour themed enchantress who raises lots of undead and zombies, but for this she's called Professor Onyx, and I think she has amnesia. She's not sure about her past, but we'll find out more when the book drops. There's also Tavash, Willow Dusk, and Eudora. They're all the professors we're covering for Witherbloom, but there's two other important people to mention. There's Guillaume the Chef, which I just love the art for this. I need to show it to you guys. It's fantastic. And Blex the Pest. We've mentioned Pest in the past here, but it looks like this pest is outgrown and managed to survive and morph into something hideously just weird. Now, let's go over the subclass itself. The Mage of Witherbloom is a Druid and a Warlock subclass. Mages of Witherbloom draw their magic from the energy that endlessly flows from life to death, then back again. They see the duality of thriving life and inevitable death in all things, tapping and manipulating the transformation of energy between these states. Some Witherbloom adherents focus on vital energies to nurture life and empower others, while others embrace their drain of vitality into decay and sap and strike down their foes. Now, when you choose the subclass, you gain two features, Witherbloom Spells and Essence Tap. When you choose this subclass, for Witherbloom you get the Spare the Dying cantrip, and you automatically get Cure Wounds and Inflict Wounds, which is a little bit better for the Druid than the Warlock because you have more spell slots as a Druid. Also, when you hit 3rd level, you gain access to Lesser Restoration and Ray of Enfeeblement. At 5th level, you get access to Revivify, which is a cornerstone of the Cleric, and being able to access this as a Warlock or a Druid is a really powerful ability. You also get Vampiric Touch, which is great in combat if you need to top up your life total. At level 7, you gain access to Blight and Greater Restoration. Now, Greater Restoration is good, but it's very situational, and Blight is just a general all-round interesting damage spell. And finally, when you hit level 9 in the class, you gain access to Anti-Life Shell and Mass Cure Wounds. Also at level 1, you have access to Essence Tap. When you hit level 1 plus with the Mage of the Witherbloom, you get access to this feature, regardless of whether you're a Druid or a Warlock. As a bonus action, you can draw on a reservoir of life essences to empower yourself for 1 minute, or until you use this feature again. For the duration, you gain one of the following benefits of your choice. You can access Overgrowth. When you choose this benefit, and as a bonus action on subsequent turns when this benefit lasts, you can expend and roll 1 hit die. You regain a number of hit points equal to the number of rolled plus your spellcasting ability modifier. Now, having access to this ability is a great way to heal yourself up, so it lends itself well to more melee and combat focused people. And if this lasts for 1 minute and each round is 6 seconds, you can essentially roll 10 hit die to regain your health. The second ability is Wither and Strike. When you deal damage, you can change the damage type to Necrotic, and you can ignore resistance to necrotic damage. Game changing. Game breaking, I think. This is coming from the Unearthed Arcana, so it may be modified in the final book, and if it is, I'll update it in the pinned comment down below. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Now, like I've mentioned before, this is great for the Druid, but for the Warlock, when you're focusing on short rests and getting your spell slots back, it kind of diminishes the availability of the Essence Tap. Now at level 6, for both of the classes, you get access to Witherbloom Brew. Now this steps on the toes of the Artificer Alchemist a little bit, but it's a fantastic ability and it has great flexibility. You have 3 main options with this. Let's read the description. You gain proficiency with herbalism kits if you don't already have it. When you finish a long rest, you can use a herbalism kit and a pot or cauldron to create a magical brew. You create a number of brews equal to your proficiency bonus. Each brew requires its own flask. A brew retains its magical potency for 24 hours until it's used. For each of the brews, choose one of the following benefits. You get access to fortifying, which essentially gives you resistance to cold, fire, necrotic or poison, depending on what you feel like. You get access to quickening, which lets you heal hit points back up, and it acts as a way to heal hit points, 2d6, and cure things like charmed, frightened, paralyzed, poisoned, or stunned. And the final option is toxifying. As an action, a creature can apply this brew to a simple or martial weapon. The next time you use it, and you get a hit, the target takes 2d6 extra poison damage and must succeed on a con save, or be poisoned for 1 minute. So this lends the subclass to being more of a support subclass that can heal creatures and heal your party mates up, but also supporting your rogue. If you can use the toxifying brew and make sure your rogue gets an extra couple of d6 damage, they're not going to complain. And you can use this feature again and again. You don't have to rely on buying poison kits and starting to homebrew a whole different rule set for poisons. Now, you start getting diminishing returns when you get to higher and higher levels, but 2d6 and being able to do it multiple times, it has its uses. At level 10, you have access to Witherbloom Adept. You have to be level 10 or above, so for the Warlock I believe it's level 10, and for the Druid it's level 11. I'm going to correct it in post, but it should be accurate. Your connection to the flow of life force deepens. Once per turn, when you deal necrotic damage or restore a hit point using the spell, one target of the spell takes additional damage or regains additional hit points equal to your proficiency bonus. Now it's not limited to short or long rests, it's limited to once a round. So go crazy with it. This is just a straight up buff to your healing or damage. Not fancy, but it helps scale up the subclass. Finally, at level 14 plus, you get Withering Vortex. When you cast a spell using a spell slot that deals necrotic damage to any number of creatures that aren't undead or constructs, choose one of the creatures that took the damage. Now remember, you can apply necrotic damage to any spell you want with one of the previous features. You drain an amount of life energy equal to half the damage dealt to the chosen creature. One creature other than yourself you can see within 30 feet of you regains a number of hit points equal to the life energy drained. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain it all after a long rest. So, to summarise, this subclass seems like it's a good thing for a druid to help support the team and maybe stay away from the frontline combat because druids are notoriously fragile. For the Warlock, it's interesting. I think pairing up the Warlock's ability to have short spell slots but having really powerful spells, and of course all of the tendril spells as well, it can work quite well with the theming. But let me know what you guys think. Please leave me a comment down below and tell me if I've missed anything out. Oh, thanks for watching. I'll speak to you next time. Bye.